Can you spot an emotional, unavailable person? Here are 10 signs. So you can spot that person fast when you're dating, or even if you're already in a relationship, or maybe married to this person. Understand this is why your anxiety spikes so fast. And before we start, this is not about blaming anyone. It's about self-awareness, because step one in protecting your heart and your nervous system and knowing what the hell is happening is to create awareness. So now let's talk about what I mean with emotional unavailability, especially when it comes to dismissive avoidant attachment styles as well. So these often seem more like a little bit aloof, distant, and just hard to read, but they're also very mysterious, and that's exactly what is so exciting about them, right? But secretly, they crave intimacy and closeness too. Why? Usually it goes back to childhood. Maybe emotions were really discussed or validated and even modeled. So as an adult, then later on, dismissive avoidants often fear commitment as well. So they have learned that independence really felt safe for them. And as adults, then dismissive avoidants often fear commitment. They pull away when things get too close. Often they somehow sabotage it, the relationship, or when they're dating, or somehow when commitment is around the corner at a big milestone, for example. And here's the thing. They fantasize even about closeness more than you would expect it to be, but fear of negative beliefs stopping them from acting. They're just not used to this because their childhood, again, emotions and intimacy and all of this felt very, it wasn't safe to experience this. So vulnerability is a huge trigger for them. Many were taught that showing feelings means weakness. It meant shame. So expressing needs, sharing feelings, or letting someone get close can feel impossible for them. So learned helplessness has showed up as like, I'm not capable of that, or relationships just are not for me. So this is more the overall pictures of what an avoidant attachment style looks like, or maybe someone who's more, again, emotionally unavailable. But now let me give you very clear signs, okay? By the way, if you're new here, I'm Yula. I'm the Anxious to Secure coach, and welcome to the Anxious to Secure podcast. So, sign number one that you have spotted an emotionally unavailable person is they dodge deeper questions. So you try to get real with them, asking how they feel or where they think's going, and somehow the subject changes, or they're just saying, I'm fine. In dating, they might text about fun plans or memes, but when you ask, how do you feel about us, crickets. In relationships, it's surface level talk, right? Work is fine. Everything is fine. Nothing deeper. Nothing about where things are going. Talking about maybe kids, getting married. What is really going on underneath all of this? So, and yes, dismissive avoidants also get married. And if they do, like, bringing up money and kids or future plans can feel like a minefield at times. Money might be not always a problem because it's less emotional, I would say, for some. But things like that are really triggering for them, like about talking about kids or how they're actually feeling, talking about problems can be more like a problem. And even friendships can show this kind of behavior, like maybe they disappear when you open up about something, or they just text you less and less, or they just don't want to meet up as often, or avoid talking about, how they actually feel. And they don't really share about their problems and just talk about surface level things. So a little question you can ask yourself is, when you talk or try to talk about your feelings or about your partner's feelings or the person you're dating, what's your gut reaction? Do you feel anxious, frustrated, ignored? Do you kind of want to chase them harder because they're not giving you anything? Sign number two, they are emotionally unavailable and maybe dismissive avoidant, is they're inconsistent in communication. So at first, they might be texting you and it's very fun and hot and full of energy and they're very close as well. But then suddenly, nothing. Days without a word, And in relationships, it might seem a little bit different. They might only communicate when it's convenient, leaving you unsure if you can only rely on them. And you haven't even maybe noticed that were only the ones who message all the time, that you were the ones always starting to initiate a relationship conversation. Maybe when they're at work, you're the one who started texting them like twice a day, 3 times a day. You respond, but they're actually just responding. They never initiate the conversation. Or during marriage, if you've been married for 10, 20 years, they might zone out when you keep talking about your day, about holiday plans. They seem like they're not really listening. They're very detached. And they're like, maybe they're not even nodding. And there's no excitement anymore. Of course not. So ask yourself, are you doing most of the emotional chasing, or is there still coming stuff from them? Are they maybe even pulling away after you have been more engaged with each other? Maybe after a weekend of when you did plan activity, when you came back from a hike or a longer walk, and they completely ghost you at least for 2-3 days, or completely detached emotionally. Number 3 is a sign that they are more emotionally unavailable is they don't prioritize you. They always prioritize them at least. So plans get cancelled last second especially. You're available only if it works for them. And guess what? You are always available for them, right? You're always putting them first. So in long-term relationships, it can seem a little bit different, but also they do more focus on their hobbies, maybe their friendships as well. Work especially, right? Work is very important. So you feel like you're on the back burner. And marriage can feel like you're living like in a roommate instead of having a romantic partner there, a lover even. When was the last time you actually had sex? A few years ago? Months ago? So ask yourself, do you feel like consistently chosen or like a backup plan? And by the way, I do want to hint to that. There's a difference of like feeling a priority and not being a priority. But if you're never being a priority and never being in your partner's life and they're always just like deep burying their emotions in hobbies and work, that is a problem. But anyway, sign number 4 that they're more emotionally unavailable. And you might be dating or around someone who has a dismissive avoidant attachment style is their fear of commitment or future talks, for example. Again, in dating, it could look like they avoid defining the relationship. And it might even look like they might even say they're not even looking for anything serious. By the way, this is a hint of they're not looking for anything. So don't even go there. Don't even date this person. Hope they're actually looking for anything. Taking them by their word. But often they're not even addressing the situation. So they're trying to keep it as loose as possible. Probably dating lots of different people as well at the same time. In a relationship, you bring up moving in together or planning trips or just talking in general about future, birthday plans, Christmas plans. And suddenly less and less communication. You talk about something and they go quiet. And suddenly you're not even meeting at the weekend. They don't even want to plan the next few days with you. In marriage, how can this look like in marriage? You know you're in for the long, long plan, but you still feel like on edge with them. You still feel like, hey, are we actually in for this long term? Why do we never talk about the future, about our retiring plan, retiring on an island, even if it's a little bit crazy, but we don't really dream about what our future might look like. It's always being pushed on the side because of other excuses, money, family problems. So ask yourself, are they actually hesitating about imagining a future with you, or are they just having a different pacing? Sign number 5, they're more emotionally unavailable, is they invalidate your feelings. Ouch, that's a huge one. And someone who's more dismissive avoidant, they don't really mean to, because that's again what they're growing up to, but it's not okay still. Maybe they're going to tell you to calm down. And guess what? Nobody wants to be told to calm down when they're anxious or when they're activated. This is not a big deal, right? Silent treatment after a conflict for hours or even days. So you begin to second guess yourself constantly. And let me tell you, your feelings are always valid. Okay, it's just about they are unable to cope with your emotions. That is not a you problem. You're not too much. You're enough. You're more than enough. And you want to set your boundaries. If someone's invalidating you, you express how this is hurtful for you, and then you remove yourself from the situation or set another consequence because you want to be expressive how others talk to you. You can't control that, but you want to be clear of like, this is your energy. Ask yourself, do they make space for your emotions or are your feelings dismissed too often? Sign number 6, they're more emotionally unavailable, is affection feels limited or conditional. So, in dating, touch can feel a lot at the beginning. There might be a lot of physical touch going on, but as you date more, it's becoming more an item, touch becomes less and less. They won't initiate maybe closeness, maybe you are the ones who initiating it more and more. In a relationship, for sure, physical intimacy has cooled down completely. Now it's much more about maybe date nights and quality time rather than physical touch as well. So affection only happens on their terms and more rare and rarely. And in marriage, forget about it. It died completely, right? Maybe there's still sex happening, but it's very much just sex, no emotions, and that's it. Maybe on your birthday if you get lucky. So ask yourself, are their gestures consistent or when it's convenient for them? And sign number 7 that they're emotionally unavailable or maybe a little bit dismissive avoidant is they disappear under stress. So any kind of conflict, pressure, crisis, they retreat. Dating, they ghost after arguments. In a relationship more, they emotionally check out instead of solving issues. And in marriage, they might shut down entirely when life gets hard and don't want to talk about the things. They maybe communicate on the minimal things that are needed, but otherwise, when it comes to family or job loss, they're completely shut down and don't want to talk about this. So ask yourself, when things get tough, do they lean in or do they pull away? And if they pull away, do they pull away completely and kick you out of their life, or do they let you in a little bit and slowly? Sign number 8 that they're more emotionally unavailable is they're overly focused on independence. So they say things like, I don't do labels, I like my space, they love adventure. In relationships, they avoid routines, maybe shared responsibility or compromise as well. In marriage, they act a little bit like a single person, making decisions alone. They love traveling alone, a trait that often we are getting attracted to, right? It can be very attractive if someone is independent and we're kind of celebrating it nowadays. And I think this is also where we need to remember, it's not just black and white. However, ask yourself here, is their independence healthy or as a shield against closeness? And sign number 9, mixed signal. So warm, loving, affectionate one day and cold distance the next day. This can really give you this addictive chase. You spend this lovely weekend with them or like a beautiful night and suddenly there's nothing anymore. And that's what really keeps you hooked on them. That's what makes you chase them and obsessively overthink about everything. It's like, are they not into me anymore? And this is really the dangerous part about this. This is really where you want to say, they're emotionally unavailable. This is not what I want. This is a huge sign. So ask yourself, how much energy are you spending decoding their behavior? Are you getting one person one moment and have no idea what's coming next, the next week or month? And point number 10, a sign that they are emotionally unavailable, is you feel emotionally starved. So you're overanalyzing their text and seeking lots of reassurance and craving signs of affection, right? And even in a relationship or marriage, you feel lonely in the same room. And I want to point out here that if you have an anxious attachment style, is that you will feel emotionally starved anyway, no matter if you're with a secure person or if you are with someone who is emotionally unavailable. However, if you are with someone who doesn't give you anything or just literally breadcrumbs, you really, really feel starved. You can really feel like it's kind of over, but you don't want to admit it to yourself, or it's never really been great. You've just tried to be the cool person to get along with it just because your feelings were so strong for the person. So ask yourself this: does the connection actually feel nourishing? So if you would actually feed yourself, would you still wanting more from them? Or do they give you so little that you're just constantly needing more and more because they just keep you hooked and they're actually the ones who keep you starved? And the reason why you're still in this is because you don't actually give yourself enough. But deep down, you're thinking, hey, you know what? It's so much easier if they would just give me all of these things. And here's this big bonus one I want to throw in, is that their actions don't match their words, okay? So I've noticed there are different parts of avoidant attachment styles. For example, my partner's actions really match his words, a reason why I'm with him, a reason to show really not all avoidants are the same. However, I have, coached lots of people with an anxious attachment style who are drawn to different kind of people, more dismissive avoidant, more emotionally unavailable. And some people, their words don't match their actions. And that is a key essential thing to already see during the dating stage. So when they say something, I will be there, I will text, I will call, I will do this, do they actually follow through? Because this is how trust is built. And the thing is, what are you going to do then if they don't come, if they don't show up, if they don't text? If you keep thinking, oh, maybe next time, or if you keep making excuses for this is on you. It's not on them anymore. And this is why you probably keep chasing them and keep having them around and then starting a relationship with them and keep being engaged with them and marrying them because you're making excuses. You're not able to walk away because of your abandonment wound and keep marrying them and are reinforcing your abandonment fear of like, I can't be on my own. I will not find someone who's secure, loving. I don't deserve love. So I rather stick with this person, even though I know they're having like 11 signs of that they are emotionally unavailable. They're not good for me. But because I can't give myself what I need, I don't know how to be alone. I don't know how to love myself. I don't know how to validate myself, to reassure myself. I don't know how to be there for myself. So I'm accepting of what comes along. Someone who's emotionally unavailable, who doesn't even show love in any kind of way. At the beginning, yes, but then less and less. And then we just make excuses for them. So if this is you, if you find yourself in the same patterns, attracted to emotionally unavailable men or to dismissive avoidant attached people, and you are unhappy with this pattern, you can become securely attached, because that is always the solution, becoming securely attached. So you stop attracting these kind of patterns. So you're actually filling your own cup, regulating your emotions and your anxiety, because this is all based on your past, because you're probably growing up on inconsistent caregiving, where your needs were not always being met in the way you're like a baby needed. So now your love tank is so empty that even if someone is pouring all of the reassurance and words of affirmations and physical touch and all of the love languages inside your bucket, it's still not overflowing. But you are now pouring the love that you want to receive into your avoidance buckets, and their bucket is overflowing and they're feeling overwhelmed and suffocated because they don't want that already. Their bucket is already overflowing. So what I want to say is, if you want support in becoming more securely attached and feeling more empowered, then I can be your girl. If you want to reach out via email or jump on a free call with me, I'm happy to connect with you to see if my coaching is the right spot for you. I do one-on-one coaching through video calls, one-on-one. I also do coaching via WhatsApp, very empowering and helpful if you go through daily or weekly challenges and you want quick text messages where I point out what you can do in the moment. You teach your brain what is safe and what is not safe based on how you react. If someone ghosts you, you can't control that. If someone reassures you or not reassures you, we can't control that either, but we can control how we react and the way we think about this. And this is how we can break the cycle long term. And I have a 4-step process and lots of frameworks to really help you to do this step by step. And you're not alone in this, and feel free to reach out. So remember, emotional unavailability isn't about blaming anyone. It's about awareness, spotting the patterns step by step. And you can ask yourself, do you feel safe or chosen here? Are you doing most of the emotional work, or are they really available to give you what you need? Check out the free resources in the attachment library. I'm so glad you are here with me on this journey. I'm receiving more and more amazing feedback and comments on my email from you who are listening on these episodes and who are really enjoying them. Also, thank you so much if you're one of them. If you listen to on the audio podcast, please leave me a 5-star rating. It would mean so much in the world to me. Otherwise, have a lovely autumn. Lots of love. You love. Bye-bye.